Wow, wow, wow.
Hello, everyone, and good afternoon and good evening. Thank you so much for attending today's Grand Canyon and Glacier National Park by Rail webinar with Amtrak Vacations. I am your host and train conductor, Tyler Wallinger, and I'm super excited to be discussing my favorite topic, traveling by train to especially these beautiful U.S. national parks. So, folks, just welcome all of you aboard. And before we begin today's presentation, I just want to make sure that you all can hear me. So if you don't mind typing a quick yes in the questionnaire box, I would greatly appreciate it. Just make sure you can hear me. Oh, perfect. Thank you so much, Carla. I really do appreciate that. Perfect. Thank you, Salvatore. Thank you, Jonathan. Wonderful. Bonnie, appreciate that. Thank you, Helen, Heidi. Great. Okay, thank you so much. I want to make sure you guys can hear me. And my second question for all of you, since you can hear me, I want to know where you all are joining from today on today's webinar, where in the world you are joining from, either here in the US. Some of us have joined from international destinations such as Europe, Canada, and a few other places as well. I really appreciate. Oh, someone mentioned Dauphine, Manitoba, Canada. Thank you so much, Carla. Also, Frederick, Maryland. Thank you, Terry. Sacramento, Chicago, AAA Knoxville, thank you. Oh my gosh, so many great places around the world. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for joining today's webinar. And what we'll be covering in today's presentation is, of course, discussing where you can travel to by the national parks by rail. We'll talk about why Glacier and Grand Canyon should be on your bucket list for either this year or for 2022, and how to, of course, route your rail vacation from your hometown. And lastly, we'll discuss how Amtrak is providing a safe environment during this time. But for those of you who've never attended any of our webinars before, I want to discuss very briefly our Yankee Leisure Group brands. So, of course, in the middle is Yankee Holidays. Now, Yankee Holidays is our wholesale brand where we, of course, have everything packaged together for you all with our hotels, our sightseeing tours, dining experiences, rental cars, ferries, transfers, and so much more. And that's with, of course, with Yankee Holidays, which we've been around for over 50 years, of course. So we've been around here for quite a while. And we basically, package it all together so you don't have to worry about anything. All you gotta just take care of is your flights. And then to our left is Amtrak Vacations. Now, Amtrak Vacations is very similar to Yankee Holidays, except we add on the Amtrak rail component with our packages, which is part of the vacation experience. And then to our right is Rail Bookers. Now, for those of you who are interested maybe to travel to Alaska this year by rail, maybe visiting Denali National Park, Seward to visit the glaciers, or many other places, we can service that with Rail Bookers. Or, of course, we also offer Europe, Canada, Asia, Africa, and beyond. All of this with international travel with Rail Bookers. And of course, today in particular, we're talking about Amtrak Vacations. So where can you travel to by train? Well, a lot of you are around the beautiful USA. So, for example, if you want to travel from, from Madison, Wisconsin, all the way over to Glacier National Park, make that round trip, we could definitely make that happen. Or maybe you're looking for a short getaway trip from Washington, D.C. over to Charleston or Savannah, Georgia. You could definitely also make that happen as well. Maybe you're looking for more of that transcontinental experience, traveling from New York City all the way over to San Francisco and back. Again, we can also make that happen as well. But again, there's always something for anyone looking to travel by train here within the U.S. And actually, Amtrak covers over 46 of the 48 continental states. It just doesn't cover, of course, Wyoming or South Dakota. But it does have over 30 plus routes where people can travel on and also upgrade to those private sleeping accommodations, which we'll talk about later today. But many of these routes actually travel through the heart of the U.S. national parks. When you get off the train, you are in those wide open spaces. But right now, particularly, folks, who out there loves to save money? If you love to save money, please type in the questionnaire box, love to save money. I'd love to know who out there likes to save. Oh, perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you, Carla. Loves to save money. Christine loves to save money. Great. Thank you so much. Terry likes to save money. Wonderful. So right now we have, of course, our flash sale savings of $400 off per couple for our Spring Into Travel sale. This offer, though, folks, is only valid between now and this Friday. So if you want to be able to take advantage of this discount, this is the time to book. All you got to do is reach out to us today at 1-800-268-7252, or you can also contact your local travel advisor, and they can, of course, make sure you get this promotion as well. But again, this offer is only valid between now and this Friday. Again, this is where you can save up to $400 per couple or $200 per person. And right now, I want to tell you, folks, taking the train is not only the most safest way to travel, of course, which we'll talk about in just a moment, but it's also the cleanest way to travel. So a great way for you to feel comfortable, safe, but also have a pleasant journey. And we're ready to take you whenever you're ready to go. But on board the train, they have followed the guidelines of the CDC, so they enhance the cleaning protocols at the stations on board the trains and throughway buses to make sure, of course, it's a clean and safe environment for all. They've sanitized equipment, they've sanitized and make sure the rooms are kept clean, the seating areas are kept clean, the tables, the whole 9 yards. Also, of course, they have provided a state-of-the-art air filtration system where they filter fresh, clean air every 4 to 5 minutes. Think about that. No other, transportation offers that type of accommodation. Like on the airlines, it's all recycled air. Here on the trains, it's fresh, clean air every 4 to 5 minutes roaming throughout the carriages. Also on board the trains, you are required to wear your facial covering as well as in the stations. But here's a benefit, folks. When you upgrade to your private sleeping accommodation and once you're in your private cabin and you close that door, you're able to remove your mask so you can be able to enjoy that pleasant journey. Also on board the trains right now, they're going contactless. And what I mean by that is instead of having a physical copy ticket that you can be able to show to the conductor, it's actually going to be all on your mobile device. So you can actually scan their tickets on your phone. Also, of course, instead of having cash or purchasing a souvenir or a snack on board the train or at the stations, they're only accepting debit or credit card payments at this time. A few other points I want to talk about right now, folks, is that they have limited their bookings to 50% capacity. 50% capacity. And the reason why, of course, is to keep up with the social distancing on board the trains and to also follow those guidelines of the CDC. Lastly, of course, as I mentioned before, there's over 30 plus routes that Amtrak offers, and many of these routes offer private rooms where you can upgrade to a roomette, a bedroom, a family bedroom, or even an accessible bedroom on board the train. And as I mentioned, when you step off the train, you are in the heart of the U.S. national parks, in those wide open spaces, the fresh, clean alpine air, seeing those views of the alpine scenery, the canyons, and so much more. And what better way to start off our presentation, folks, is with Glacier National Park by rail. Folks, when you get off at East Glacier Station with us, you are in the heart of Glacier National Park. You're right outside and being able to check out the Glacier Park Lodge, which we'll talk about in just a moment. But for those who may not know, Glacier National Park is actually considered a peace park with our brethren of Canada. So you'll notice on this little picture here on the right-hand corner of my screen, we actually share a border between Canada and the U.S. With Waterton Lakes National Park. So all of Glacier National Park is considered a peace park that was established back in the mid-1920s by Canada and the U.S., of course. And then also, folks, for those of you who may not know, once you get off the train, you're less than 200 steps away from the Glacier Park Lodge. Now, I know a lot of you are saying, well, Tyler, I'm on vacation. I don't really want to walk and schlep my luggage around. No worries. There's actually, of course, free shuttle services that will pick you up from the train station and take you over to the lodge, which is provided by the staff at the lodge there. But once you arrive at the Glacier Park Lodge, you are greeted by this massive main lobby, which are actually supported by 40 plus Douglas fir pine pillars, which were originally established back in 1913 by the Great Northern Railway. So for those of you who are rail enthusiasts out there, the Great Northern Railway is actually the rail operator system that comprised the track system from Chicago all the way out to the Pacific Northwest, and we'll talk about that a little bit. But the Glacier Park Lodge is where a lot of people stay at with us, and they get to be able to enjoy the benefits of the lodge, such as a heated pool. They have a golf course on site where you can be able to play putt-putt or get to play 18 holes while you're there. And also the golf course is actually one of the oldest golf course sites in the state of Montana. There's also, of course, a few restaurants inside the Glacier Park Lodge, such as the Great Northern Hall. There's the cafe area, and then also a bar area as well. And also on site, there also is a gift shop, so you can be able to purchase some souvenirs to take back home with you. And then also at the lodge, there's many different room categories to choose from. So if you're looking for a specific room category, please let us know in advance so we can book that for you. All you got to do is give us a call at 1-800-268-7252, or also make sure you speak with your local travel advisor. And I have to say, one of my favorite areas of the Glacier Park Lodge is actually the main hall, which which I want to talk about for a moment. This is where people usually will have breakfast and dinner at the lodge. And look at this breathtaking view, folks. For those of you that know, that Glacier National Park is considered the Switzerland of America, and actually one of the mottos that the Great Northern Railway, marketed is that to passengers and tourists, see America's first. So instead of traveling over the Atlantic to see Switzerland, why not see the Alps here of Glacier National Park? And while you're dining at the main hall there, I highly suggest to get either a huckleberry margarita or also a huckleberry pie. For those of you who are not from the Pacific Northwest, huckleberries are delicious. So definitely check that out while you're there. But one of the main highlights when staying and visiting Glacier National Park is visiting the Going to the Sun Road on the historic red jammer buses. And folks, I'm super excited to announce that this year in 2021, the red jammer buses are going to be in operation, as well as, of course, the Glacier Park Lodge itself. So the red jammer buses are an historic experience where you get to travel through the Going to the Sun Road and see popular points of interest such as Goat Lick, which is famous for wildlife. You'll get to see the Logan's Pass, Mariah's Pass, St. Mary's Lake, and so many other points of interest along the way. By the way, did you know that the reason why they painted these buses red was actually for the red hashberry that's located throughout the park? And the reason why it's called jammer, or the guides are called jammers, is due to the fact that when it would go up to specific elevation, they would have to jam the gears to be able to get through those inclines. But no longer, of course, do they have to experience that, folks. You have to experience those jolts as they're making their way up through the elevation of the Going to the Sun Road. It's just due to the fact now that they have technology to spare us from that. So very cool. And then also while you're staying in Glacier National Park, we offer a Two Medicine Valley boat cruise, which the Two Medicine Valley boat cruise is an historic boat cruise that takes you around Two Medicine Valley Lake. I do suggest that you get off the cruise once you're at the edge of the lake there to do a small little hike to Twin Eagle Falls. Or if you don't want to do any hiking, you can just take the cruise back as well. And on board, they actually talk about the history as well as the Indian culture of the Blackfoot tribe and even the geological features of Glacier National Park. Now, the package I want to talk about today, everyone, is the Glacier National Park Express package. This is a 10-day trip that starts in Chicago and ends in Seattle. But of course, we can always customize it to start from your hometown as well. Or if you don't want to visit Seattle, you want to go down to Portland, we can make that happen as well. But this trip starts with 2 nights hotel accommodations in Chicago, where you get to learn about the Windy City as well as the architectural wonders. After time exploring Chicago, you'll then board the famous Empire Builder train, which will travel out west to Glacier National Park, overnighting on the train. You'll then stay at Glacier National Park with us for 3 nights before you head out further west to Seattle, traveling through the Cascade Mountain Range. And folks, I will say the Empire Builder with Amtrak, or Amtrak's Empire Builder, they time it so well that you're going to be able to see Glacier National Park during the day. But the reason why it's called the Empire Builder route is due to the fact that James J. Hill, which was the original founder of the Great Northern Railway, he designed this rail route to bring goods over from the West Coast over to the East Coast. And his main challenge was not just the Rocky Mountains, but also the Cascade Mountain Range as well. So having to devise a rail route to link the two areas of the United States was a challenge. Hence the reason why they called him the Empire Builder, because he was able to make it happen. But the popular car on the train is going to be the observation dome area, where they can be able to get those 360-degree views of the surrounding scenery, which, by the way, some of this area is not even touchable by car or by motor coach bus, only by train. So see this majestic landscape up close in person, all by train. So the Glacier National Park Express package, folks, this is a 10-day experience starting at $2,649 and includes all that you see here, such as the sightseeing architectural cruise in Chicago. You also get the Two Medicine Valley boat cruise, the Big Sky Circle tour on those red jammer buses, admission to the Space Needle and the Chilhouette Garden Glass exhibit, the sightseeing city tour of Seattle, and 7 nights hotel accommodations and 2 nights on board Amtrak's Empire Builder. Now, for those of you who are maybe short on time and maybe you can't do 10 days, we also have what's called our Glacier National Park Getaway. This is a 4-day, 3-night journey that starts at $1,059. It includes 3 nights hotel accommodations at the Glacier Park Lodge, the Big Sky Circle tour of Glacier National Park, 2 Medicine Valley boat cruise on Glacier National Park, as well as the 1 meal included, which is dinner at the Glacier Park Lodge. Now, for those of you who are looking for a multi-park vacation, we have what's called our Grand National Parks package, which you'll see some of those on our website, but this particularly focuses on both Yellowstone, Yosemite, and Glacier National Park. So this is our Grand National Parks with Yellowstone, Yosemite, and Glacier National Park, and you actually get to travel on board 3 of Amtrak's iconic scenic train routes: the California Zephyr, the Coast Starlight, and the Empire Builder. So again, this package is round trip from Chicago due to the fact that Chicago is a main hub for Amtrak. So on this route, you'll get to be able to see popular cities such as Salt Lake City, where you get to be able to learn about the Mormon culture. You'll get to see Yellowstone National Park, which is our nation's first national park. You'll get to explore the city of San Francisco and check out a day trip over to Yosemite National Park, our nation's third national park. And then you'll head up to Seattle to be able to check out Pike's Place Market before you head over to Glacier National Park. But one of the most iconic train routes I also have to talk about today is the Coast Starlight. Now, I was very fortunate enough to take the Coast Starlight trip a few years ago with my wife, and it was really a stunning, majestic train trip, traveling from Los Angeles all the way up to Seattle. That's the full length of the journey, but for this package, you'll travel from San Francisco up to Seattle, and you'll see the Cascade Mountain Range. You're going to see lush forests. You'll see, of course, pristine lakes. You'll get to travel for Puget Sound before you arrive into Seattle. And while you're staying in Seattle, definitely check out Pike's Place Market. That's where I got some really great seafood. My wife and I got some Atlantic salmon, clam chowder. It's really, really good, so definitely check that out while you're there. Also, of course, when visiting Yosemite, I highly suggest checking out Mariposa Grove, which is very famous for the redwood trees, which you can be able to walk under a few of those as well. Also, check out the geological wonders such as Yosemite Falls, Brideville Falls. You can check out, of course, Tunnel Meadow. You can even see El Capitan and Half Dome while you're there. So that's our Grand National Parks with Yellowstone, Yosemite, and Glacier National Park. It's 15 days starting at $4,349 and includes the hop-on, hop-off sightseeing tours of San Francisco, the sightseeing tour of Yellowstone's lower loop, so you can be able to check out the Yellowstone National Park, a day trip over to Yosemite National Park, dinner at the rooftop restaurant in Salt Lake City, the Big Sky Circle tour, and the 2 Medicine Valley boat cruise in Glacier National Park, 9 nights hotel accommodations, and 5 nights on board Amtrak. Now, folks, I want to talk about Grand Canyon National Park. Now, Grand Canyon National Park is not only the 7th wonder of the world, but did you know that 7 million visitors each year visit Grand Canyon National Park? And here's another fact. It's actually the south rim of the Grand Canyon. The depth is over 7,000 feet above sea level, I believe. So you can actually be able to see that lucky number 7 resides in Grand Canyon National Park. So if you want to take a side trip over to Las Vegas, bet on lucky number 7. Also, Grand Canyon National Park is actually larger than the entire state of Rhode Island. The state of Rhode Island is only 12,000 square feet. Footage. My apologies. 12,000 square feet. Footage. I cannot speak to them. I'm so sorry, folks. And then also, of course, Grand Canyon is over 1,400 square footage. So again, that's a huge, massive, national park to compare to that size of that state. And then, as we talked about before, when you arrive into Grand Canyon National Park, you are in the wide open spaces. You're actually right in the heart of the historic village, to be exact. And when you arrive off of the Grand Canyon, you are at one of the historic train depots, which, by the way, there was originally a total of 14 historic train station cabins, which is the log cabins you can see here. And there's only 3 residing today. One of them is located at Grand Canyon National Park. And as you can see here in the top left-hand corner of my screen, this is the El Tovar Hotel. So you can actually walk a few steps away to the El Tovar Hotel, which, by the way, the El Tovar Hotel is the flagship hotel, which was designed by the Fred Harvey Company, which is a subcontractor to the Santa Fe Railway. They designed this hotel to actually inspire tourists to come over and visit Grand Canyon National Park. And many great celebrities, including presidents such as Theodore Roosevelt, Franklin D. Roosevelt, Dwight D. Eisenhower, even, of course, Bill Clinton, George W. Bush have stayed at this hotel property. Even celebrities such as Marilyn Monroe, Paul McCartney, even Albert Einstein himself have also stayed at this hotel. And you too can be able to experience it with us as well. The El Tovar Hotel actually does have that rustic historic charm that people are looking for when staying at the Grand Canyon, and it situates itself right at the edge of the South Rim. But my favorite part at the hotel is actually the dining hall, which offers, of course, that that fine dining experience with fine china, glassware, silverware, and they actually have a really amazing cuisine at the hotel. They outsource a lot of their ingredients, such as Pacific salmon, California fruit, Kansas beef, even cheeses from both the United States and also from France, which is outsourced to the El Tovar Hotel. But one of my favorite cocktails I have to suggest is the prickly pear margarita. It's very good. Highly suggest it. You will thank me later. And what better way for you to be able to experience Grand Canyon National Park and stay at the El Tovar than upgrading your room? So right now, folks, this is the perfect opportunity to show your loved ones, or maybe give your, siblings, a special occasion. Why not be able to travel and see the Grand Canyon National Park with views from your room? So of course, we can definitely upgrade you if you wish to do that. Also, in exploring Grand Canyon National Park, we have our sightseeing tour called the Freedom Rim Tour. This is a 2.5-hour journey that takes you around the South Rim right as you get off the Grand Canyon Railway train, and you can explore popular points of interest along the way. My favorite part actually of doing this tour was actually seeing a California condor up close in person. I was fortunate enough to get the perfect snapshot of the California condor's wingspan of over 20 feet long, and right as, of course, it flew away when we got off the bus. So again, this is a really great sightseeing tour for all ages to enjoy. And there's also other sightseeing activity tours that we can include when visiting Grand Canyon National Park to give you the ultimate experience, such as whitewater rafting, a helicopter tour, plane tour. Even if you want to do a Jeep tour, we can also offer that as well. All you got to do is make sure you just give us a call today at 1-800-268-7252, or also contact your local travel advisor. Now I want to talk about Rails to the Grand Canyon. This is a package that actually starts round trip from Los Angeles. So for any of you who are on the West Coast, we could definitely, of course, accommodate you with this package. It includes the round trip accommodations on board the Amtrak Southwest Chief to Williams, Arizona. Then you'll travel on the Grand Canyon Railway train up to Grand Canyon National Park, and then, of course, back again from Grand Canyon to Williams before you head back over to Los Angeles. And when you're on board the Grand Canyon Railway train, you definitely want to consider upgrading to first class or even the above accommodations on board the Grand Canyon Railway. So the classes of service that are offered is coach class, which is included in the packages. You can upgrade to first class for a few dollars more. You can even upgrade to the observation dome car for if you're traveling with young children. You really want to give them the ultimate experience. Why not give them the access to the observation 360-degree dome car view? But if you're traveling maybe with a significant other, maybe don't want to be around children, you can upgrade to the luxury dome or luxury parlor class, which children under the age of 16 are not allowed in those cars. And on board, they also, of course, anything that's first class or above, they have free snacks and beverages for you to enjoy, extra comfortable amount of legroom and space for yourselves. But the favorite little benefit I have to say is air conditioning. So if you're traveling during the summer, having air conditioning is a nice amenity to have. So if you are interested in first class or any of the above accommodations, please, please, please let our travel consultants know, or your travel advisor. And on board the Grand Canyon Railway train, folks, you're going to see a lot of great different types of landscape, from, of course, canyon views, the flat plains, going over through the largest ponderosa grove of northern Arizona, which is Khabib National Forest, before you head to the South Rim. Also, this train is very historical. It was launched back in 1901 by the Santa Fe Railway, and it's brought many great passengers and celebrities, including William Howard Buffett and also Bill Gates, on this scenic train route. So, folks, the Rails to the Grand Canyon is 5 days, starting at $799, and includes round-trip accommodations on board the Grand Canyon Railway train, the Grand Canyon Freedom Rim Tour, 2 meals, 1 breakfast and 1 dinner is included, and also 2 nights on board the Amtrak accommodations. Also 2 nights hotel stay at Grand Canyon. And then our last package today, folks, is going to be our Grand National Parks with Yellowstone, Yosemite, and the Grand Canyon. This is round trip from Chicago. However, we can customize it to make it round trip round trip from your hometown. And this, of course, includes Yellowstone, Yosemite, and the Grand Canyon. So Yellowstone National Park is our nation's first national park, which features, of course, hydrothermal activities of Old Faithful, the Fountain Paint Pot. They even, of course, have their own Grand Canyon. So for those of you who not know, Yellowstone has its own Grand Canyon that was created by the Yellowstone River through erosion. There's also a many abundance amount of wildlife such as the gray wolves, grizzly bears, elk, moose, deer, even bison, which were almost to the fact of being extinct, and they have been protected by the National Park Service and are growing in numbers to over 3,000 right now residing in the national park. After time exploring Yellowstone, you'll then head over to San Francisco, the city that never sleeps, and have a day trip over to Yosemite National Park. Now, if you want to stay in Yosemite National Park with us, we could definitely also make that happen for you. Just make sure you give us a call if you wish to see and stay more time in Yosemite. After time exploring Yosemite National Park, you then head over down to Grand Canyon National Park to explore the seventh wonder of the world before you head back up to Chicago and the Southwest Chief. So this is a 13-day package starting at $3,099. It includes sightseeing tours of Yellowstone's Lower Loop, Yosemite National Park, and Los Angeles. You'll have a dinner experience at the rooftop restaurant in Salt Lake City, round-trip service and coach accommodations on the Grand Canyon Railway train, motor coach freedom rim tour of the south rim of Grand Canyon National Park, and of course, round-trip accommodations on board Amtrak. Now, folks, I want to talk about our maximum flexibility offer. So for those of you not know, our maximum flexibility offer allows you to book with confidence with us. So if you need to change your travel dates or even cancel your rail vacation with us, you could do so up to 5 days prior to departure, folks. You heard me right, 5 days prior to departure without incurring any change or cancellation fee. And that goes for any existing reservations. So if you have an existing reservation with Amtrak Vacations or Rail Bookers, you can reschedule up to 5 days prior to departure without incurring any change or cancellation fee. However, this offer is only valid between now and June 30th of this year. So make sure you take advantage of it while it lasts. And I want to talk about right now, everyone, is the upgrading perks to the private sleeping accommodation. So number one, of course, when you upgrade to a private sleeping accommodation, you do get priority boarding. So if you like, flying and having like, first class or business class on an airplane just to get that priority boarding, getting your luggage situated, you're going to definitely like boarding separately versus everyone else on board a train. I actually am a person that's a huge fan of priority boarding, so nothing personal. I just like being able to board separately versus anyone else. Also, you have the privacy of your door. So once you, of course, are in your cabin, you close the door, you're able to remove your mask and enjoy the journey. There's also, of course, a dedicated car attendant that's there to serve you from the moment you board the train to the moment you depart. And they take care of everything for you, such as turn down service, making sure your room is kept tidy and clean, toiletries, pillow service, extra blanket service, bottled waters, coffees, teas, juices, sodas, and waters, and so much more. Also, for those of you who may not know, I've been getting this question quite a lot. What is the tip? What am I supposed to tip my cabin steward, or is tipping or gratuities included in my trip? So tipping and gratuities are not included in this vacation or any of our vacation packages. It is up to your discretion if you wish to tip a cabin attendant or any of the guides on one of your packages. Just make sure that you do leave something nice for them if they've done a good service. Now, the first accommodation I want to talk about is the roomette. Now, the roomette is the most economical option on board Amtrak. It's 2 seats facing one another during the day, and it's a bunk bed style configuration for 2 at night. You also have, of course, your own private cabin with a nice closable door that locks from the inside, large picturesque windows to enjoy those vistas and views on board the train, reading lights, power outlets, air quality control, heating. You even have, of course, your own mini closet to be able to hold in some jackets or clothes if you want in your room. There's also, of course, a fold-out tray table where you can be able to enjoy a meal or snack at your seat. You can even, of course, play games or even watch a show with the fold-out table. That's something my wife and I have done when we travel on board Amtrak. We usually have our iPad, we watch a show, or even we did last time, we even had our own little wine and cheese tasting in our roomette, which was perfect, seeing the California coast as we were enjoying a Napa Valley wine. And by the way, I should say that too, I forgot to mention, for those of you who do not know, but when you upgrade to a private sleeper, you are able to bring on your own alcohol beverages. So if you wish to bring on a bottle of wine or a bottle of whiskey or even a case of beer, you are able to consume it in your room, just not in coach seats. So just be aware of that. So here are the room details. So it actually does sleep up to 2 adults, but it is usually common to see people traveling as a solo passenger in a roomette. It's about you can fit about 1 to 2 small suitcases in your room, and there is the private restroom and shower facilities in the car. They're not in your room; they're in the car. But the room dimensions here are 6 feet 6 inches by 6 feet 8 inches, and the room width is 3 feet 6 inches. So if you want to be able to take a screenshot or write these items down, I completely understand. But again, this is what the roomette details are included for the roomette. And this is what it looks like when it's transformed to a bunk bed style for 2 at night. So again, very comfortable, very spacious. I'm usually the one that takes the upper bunk, so I'm a gentleman, of course. You'll, of course, ladies, right? You have to make sure your gentleman takes the top bunk. So that, of course, I give my wife the lower bunk so she can enjoy a nice, comfortable sleep on the train. And there's nothing more soothing than, of course, the rock and rhythm of the trains. Probably more comfortable to me than getting a massage. And also for those of you who want more extra space, if you want a larger cabin, they have what's called the bedroom accommodations. Now, if you want a bedroom accommodation, this is the time to book it, especially I would say about at least 6 months to a year out in advance, due to the fact that bedroom is the most popular accommodation on board the train and does sell out quite quickly. So be aware of that when you give us a call or speak with your local travel advisor. But the bedroom accommodations, as you'll see, is of course a couch set during the day with a captain's chair, and that does fold down to a bunk bed style configuration for 2. It does sleep up to 2 adults. However, it is common to see solo passengers in this cabin accommodation as well. It does fit about 1 to 2 small suitcases in your room, and you have your own private ensuite included in your cabin with its own restroom and shower and vanity. The room dimensions are 7 feet 1 inches by 7 feet 6 inches in room length, and room width is 6 feet 6 inches by 6 feet 8 inches. So again, you get 2 times larger in the size than the roomette. So if this is something you're looking for, make sure you do book it well in advance. And you can see here, this is what it looks like when it's transformed to a bunk bed style for 2. Again, very comfortable, very spacious for you to be able to roam around in your cabin. Now, for those of you who need additional assistance or maybe have a wheelchair or a walker, we have, of course, it's called the accessible bedroom. Now, the accessible bedroom is very similar in style and appearance as the regular bedroom. It's just on the lower level of the superliner carriages, or also there's one on the viewliner carriages. So be aware, of course, folks, that there's usually 1 per carriage, and normally during the high seasons, about 3, maybe 4. So just prepare yourself. If this is something that you need, it's well advised to book this way in advance. But of course, it is ADA compliant. They do have their own private bathroom and shower, which is also ADA compliant on board the train. So this is an option for those who need additional assistance. And when you do upgrade to a private sleeper, all of your meals are included, both breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So you can either have your meals brought to you in your private sleeper, or you can enjoy them in the dining car. If you wish to enjoy them in the dining car, make sure you make reservations with your cabin steward. But right now, most people are actually enjoying their meals in their private sleeping accommodation. That's called as flexible dining. And all of the meals are prepared on board the train, and the entrees are actually do change quite frequently on board the different routes of the on board Amtrak. But if you do have any dietary restrictions, please let us know in advance or let your travel advisor know so that we, of course, can let the train know to accommodate your any type of dietary restrictions you may have. We also have, of course, everyday discounts. So I know, again, a lot of you out there like to save money. What opportunity for you to get more savings with our everyday discounts? So children ages 2 to 12 can receive 50% discount off the rail portion. Seniors ages 65 and over can receive 10% discount on the rail portion. And any active duty military or retired military personnel, their spouses and their dependents receive 10% discount on the rail portion. So again, I just want to say thank you for those of you who have served in our nation's military. I am proud to say thank you so much from all of us here at Amtrak Vacations. We appreciate your honorable service. And as a reminder, for those of you who may join us a little bit late, we have our flash sale savings that does end this Friday, where you can be able to save up to $400 per couple, or if you're traveling as a solo passenger, up to $200 per person. Again, this is our Spring into Travel sale. We also have our upcoming webinars for on April 20th. We'll talk about the California Zephyr train, the Coast Starlight trains, and so much more with life on board iconic routes. We'll even discuss on April 27th round-trip rail vacation experiences on board Amtrak. Now, folks, my last questions for the day for you all I'd love to know is what destinations are you interested in and when are you looking to travel? I'd love to know what destinations you are interested in and when are you looking to travel? Oh, sorry, I mentioned Glacier National Park for 21. Great. Alaska, that's excellent. Yeah, so Kelly, if you're interested in Alaska, we do offer that with rail bookers. So if you want to check out rail bookers, the number is 1-888-829-3040, or you can also check us out on our website at www.railbookers, railbookers.com for Alaska by rail or any of our international destinations. Oh, sorry to mention the Canadian Rockies in summer. Thank you so much, Carla. We can definitely service that with both Amtrak Vacations or Rail Bookers. Glacier National Park, DC to Glacier, wonderful. Grand Canyon, all the national parks. I love that response. Charleston, awesome. Grand Canyon, Glacier, wonderful. So folks, again, if any of the destinations were not featured in today's presentation, please feel free, of course, to type out those responses as well and when you're looking to travel. So if it's either here domestically in the US to popular cities or national parks, let us know. Or if you're interested in traveling internationally, either for later in 21 or for 2022, either in Canada, Europe, Asia, Africa, and beyond, we can service that with rail bookers. And also, of course, Alaska by rail as well. So if you are interested in Alaska, we can serve that also. Glacier and Grand Canyon for 2022, wonderful, perfect, awesome. Glacier in the fall. So a lot of Glacier National Park, which is great, perfect. All right, folks, I just want to say thank you so much for continuing to pour in your responses. And as you're doing that, I just want to say again, thank you so much for joining us today. We have reached the end of the line, so this is the last final stop on our virtual train tour. And here's, of course, our contact details for Amtrak Vacations, our number, and our office hours. We're open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and here is our website below. Now I'm going to take this time to be able to answer some questions in detail for you before we end our presentation today. So let's see here. Let's open up our question air box. Let's see here. Marianne Vino asks, will there be available info while on the train as a guide noting scenery-specific info and actual pamphlets? That's a great question, Marianne. Sometimes there are, of course, what's called rails and trails guides, which are actually retired National Park Service members that will actually board the train and talk about some of the popular points of interest. So you will see sometimes guides on the train which will talk about that. But in regards to actual throughout the length of the journey, unfortunately not. But doesn't mean that you can't look up online what are some popular points of interest to see while on board the train. Let's see here. Carla Vandenbrink asks, why does it not cover Wyoming and South Dakota? So that's a great question. Unfortunately, I don't really have an exact answer for that, but it's just due to the fact that there's no train tracks that are operated by Amtrak through those states. But however, I do know that Amtrak just received I think it's an $80 million contract by the U.S. government where they can be able to actually continue to expand their rail network system and hoping, I think there's one that's going to be traveling into Wyoming in the near future. So definitely something to look out for. All right, let's see here. Catherine Yvonne Gordon asks, can you get kosher-free meals? That's a very great question. I believe the answer is yes. Just double check, Catherine. I would just make sure you give us a call at 1-800-268-7252. I believe there are kosher-free meals on board Amtrak. Just make sure you give us a call in advance so we can, of course, order that for you. Jane Doe asked, when will traditional dining come back? That's a great question. So right now, currently, their target is May 31st is to bring back traditional dining services. However, of course, that may change based upon, of course, unforeseen circumstances. So, but as of current right now, it is right now flexible dining. Great question. Let's see. Let's see. Patricia Searay asked, if you work for Amtrak, what discounts do you get off on rail vacations? That's a great question. So if you work for Amtrak, that may be something you may want to talk with Amtrak directly for. If you're an employee for Amtrak, you may get special discounts because you're an employee with them. And then when it comes to our vacations, we can still book that for you and just take advantage of any discounts that we have to offer you through our vacations department. A great question. Let's see here. Tom Twos asked, how can you tip and be contact free? That's a great question. So what you can do is actually, if you're dining in the dining car, you can actually leave a tip for your cabin steward that way. So you can actually leave. That's something that you could look at. I do know that some staff may accept cash. It just depends. But for the most part, they're not. They're really advising against cash. So it's basically something you would leave when you're dining on board the train. You may want to purchase like alcohol beverages or a souvenir on the train. You can tip them that way. Good question. All right, let's see here. Gregory Combs asks, is the presentation available? Yes, so this is a recorded session, so we can, of course, send this over to you at the end of the presentation. Great question. Let's see here. Salvatore Mazzio asked, did you say there's free Wi-Fi available on the trains? Yes, so there is Wi-Fi available on the trains. Depending on the location, though, on board the train, sometimes it can be a little spotty, especially as it goes through higher elevations. So just be aware of that, but Wi-Fi is available on the trains. That is a great question. Karen Zipkiak, I hope I didn't pronounce your name correctly, asked, how much does an upgrade for a sleeper cost? That's a very great question. Unfortunately, there's really no direct answer or specific answer I could tell you. That it basically does change and vary depending on when you're booking. So if you're booking last minute, you could be paying the highest tier because Amtrak has bucket tier pricing. But if you book well in advance, you could be paying a little bit lower of a cost. So again, the far out you book, the better pricing you can get. The later you book and closer to your departure time, the more expensive it can be. Unfortunately, most people get that misconception that booking, last minute I can get the better deals. Sometimes it's true, sometimes it's not. It's just more so than ever. If you book later, you get if you book, later to when you're supposed to travel, it can get a little bit more expensive. So just be aware of that. Let's see. Teresa Legrand asked, if you book a bedroom, are there other areas on the train you can sit? Yes, absolutely. There's actually the observation lounge car where you can be able to sit and enjoy the views in the 360-degree dome car view. There's also the lounge on the bottom level of the observation dome. There's also the cafe car. The dining car is also available. So there are areas you can enjoy and walk throughout the train. Let's see here. William Watkins asked, are you a direct affiliate with Amtrak? So I work for Amtrak Vacations, not Amtrak. So that's always the misconception, is that people think, oh, we're Amtrak. So we're not Amtrak, we're Amtrak Vacations. So we're the tour operator for Amtrak. So again, there is a difference. So Amtrak is the rail operator that moves over 3 million people a year on its services. With Amtrak Vacations, we're the vacations department that services, of course, not just the rail accommodations, but the hotels, the sightseeing tours, all of that good jazz. Great question. All right, folks, I have a few more. I'll answer a few more questions, and if I do not get to your questions today, please feel free to give us a call so that way we make sure we get your questions answered today. All right. Yeah, Laurel Pigush asked, did I hear correctly that retired military personnel get discounts? Yes, that is correct. So retired military do also get a discount of 10% off the rail portion. Let's see here. Any discounts for a single traveler? Brenda Filler asked. So that's a great question. So if you're traveling as a solo passenger, of course, there are other discounts you could be applicable for. Just make sure you give us a call today at 1-800-268-7252 to see what available discounts you are applicable for, or eligible for, I should say. Sorry, eligible for. Let's see here. How long is the Laura Pigish asked? How long is the bus tour around the Grand Canyon? So the Freedom Tour around the Grand Canyon is about a 2.5 hour journey. There is an option if you wish to. It's called the Grand Freedom Rim Tour, where you can actually that's about an 1.5 hour tour, but it also gets you the opportunity to do a buffet lunch at the Maswick Lodge. So let the travel consultants know or your local travel advisor know which option you prefer. All right, folks. This is the last question for the day. Tice Wagner asks, can reward points be used towards rail travel portion? That's a great question, Tice. So yes, if you have Amtrak reward points, you can use them directly with Amtrak. There's actually a guest rewards number that you can call to be able to use those points towards towards your train tickets. It's not unfortunately be able to use towards with Amtrak Vacations. All right, folks. Well, that is the last question of the day. If I did not answer any of your other questions, please feel free to give us a call today. Our number is 1-800-268-7252 for Amtrak Vacations. Rail Bookers is 1-888-829-3040 for international travel or traveling with Alaska by rail. I hope all of you have a wonderful and train-tastic day, and I hope to see some of you also on the rails in the near future. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.